Hey guys, just checking I've got everything silented. I think it all is. Don't want to tempt fate or anything, but I can actually see what's happening. So I don't know if I've changed a setting or something, but I can actually see the feed for a change, which is nice. Okay, I'm just going to do the share outs. Tweety tweety. Okay, so I'm just popping it in the Spectrum and Noir group, as they like to see the videos. Just realised my keyboard's right next to the mic, so all you're hearing is tippy tapping. Can't spell generally correct. That's handy. Okay, almost there. Okay, that's that done. So I thought I'd do something based around Inktober today. Hi Erica. Hi Wendy. Because, well, actually it was a bit of a, not cop out as such, but I knew I wanted to do an Inktober again today. I couldn't think for toffee what I wanted to do, so I was literally having a look around Pexels, and I thought, oh, I haven't done a rainbow animal in ages, I'll do a rainbow animal. And then elephant come up, and I keep seeing this particular picture of this elephant, and I just love the pose that he's in. So I thought, do you know what, I'm just gonna go with that and see how it goes. But actually it fits in perfectly, because it sits in with the fact that they're killed for no reason whatsoever other than to make some money, which was completely mindless. So I thought actually it married in pretty well, so I thought it would make for a quite good live feed. Joanne. So yeah, that's the plan. So I was thinking originally doing a rainbow one, and then I thought monochromatic. Wendy's going to laugh now, and Wendy's not allowed off the naughty step yet. So for those of you who have watched my colour theory video, well done you. For those of you that haven't, monochromatic does not mean black or white. Monochromatic means one colour. So it doesn't matter whether you have reds, blues, yellows. As long as you have one colour, you can have a tonal range, a tint range within that colour. So you can have 50 different coloured reds. As long as it's red, it's still classed as monochromatic. So I'm thinking, being an elephant, I might go down the blue route, because I've got my classiques as well, which I thought would marry in quite well with the watercolour products. So I grabbed my classics, and I've only got 3 blues in there, but I've also grabbed 2 of my aqua tint pens, and I have a range of blues. And what we're going to do is we're going to swatch them quickly, because I want to know exactly what I'm doing. I've also got the pencils, the aqua pencils, because I want to have a look at bringing some of that in for some detail as well. So I've drawn the, which you can't really see. Oh, there you go. It's gone. I knew it would go eventually. Typical, isn't it? So I can't see down there. Okay, it's spooling for me too. So if you probably can't hear me, refresh. Hang on, let me type that in, although you probably can't see it. I'm hoping she can. I've got my hairdryer as well ready, just in case. So, elephant is ready. For now, I'm just going to swatch. I'm using the, ignore that, I'm running out, so. I'm using the Spectrum Noir Premium Watercolour Pad, which is 300 GSM, which is a really, really good weight for watercolour paper. Can you hear how thick that is? So it's a really, really nice watercolour to use. In fact, it's one of my favourite watercolours to use because it's also white. It's not cream. So let's swatch the colours that we have so we know what we're working with. Let's zoom you in a bit. Okay, so in the classics, that might be too turquoise. So classics, we have the AB3, which is the Caribbean. I always forget whether it's got two R's. It's always two B's and I always put two R's. Caribbean, I think that's too turquoise. We have BT3, which is waterfall. Hang on, I need to move the camera as you're going to end up being out of focus. Peacock blue. Okay. So that is in the alcohol markers, and what we're going to do is probably use the alcohol markers to finish off the drawing and get some detail in. So in the aqua pens, we have aquamarine, and what I'll do is I'll water activate them in a minute as well so you can see. Let's try and get them in. Teal I know is a naughty one, and you'll see why in a minute. It's not helping that I'll end up leaving it. My favourite, Kingfisher. I'm not being neat at all now. Lake blue. So I'm thinking for an elephant, these would actually lend themselves really, really well. I'm going to run out of room, aren't I? Peacock blue. Let's do that. That's actually got quite a lot of purple in it, that one. I don't use this one very often. It's one of the newer colours. Azure blue. Hi, Vicky. Welcome back, Wendy. Look how lush and dark that is. So that's perfect for the shadows and the contrast. Marine. I'd call that more of a navy, but okay. And then in the aqua tints, starry sky. Favourite, blue topaz. Still off the screen, aren't we? Blue topaz. I've also got my Molotow, does it look a bit dodgy down the end, masking pen. So the pack of Aqua Blend pencils that I have picked up is the Naturals, because the naturals tend to have the biggest range of blues in there, and if I have put them back where I should do, which I never do, they should, majority of them should be in here. Could you tell I've used, I don't know if you can see that, that's where I've used it in water. So if I just put pencils, so we've got a G and blue. Might have to squeeze all this on. Glacier blue. Blue marine. Midnight blue. And ocean. Okay, so we can water activate these now just to see how we're going to get in. What is the difference between the aqua pens and the tints? The colour range mainly. The colours are different. The aqua pens came out first. The aqua tints were based on the original formula that came out in the little pots, I believe. But you get more colours in the aqua pens than you do the aqua tints. So sometimes it just depends on, also you're looking at a brush nib for the aqua tints and it's much more of a liquid loose form, whereas the aqua pens are a pen. So it really depends on what you find easier to work with as well. So that's the sort of thing to consider. So let's give this, I've got 2 cups of water. So let's just give these a bit of a wash out. Now they have had a bit of time to sit there, which I don't normally do. I normally get in there straight away and deal with it. See, teal is one of the naughty ones. And I've always had an issue with the teal because the pigment is so rich, it soaks straight away into the paper and you do then have difficulty shifting it. See, the kingfisher and aquamarine are absolutely fine. So you can see now I've come down to the darker one that you have a bit more trouble to shift that pigment. The solution to that is, rather than draw straight on your paper, get a bit of acetate, or even I use this for the sake of not having anything else. Just put a bit on something that's waterproof and just pick your colour up off of that, and then, what was that, navy? And then you can put it on your paper. So that's how I tend to work with some of the darker colours. I need coffee, man. Oh no. Do you think it'll work? Bing bing. Probably not. I don't even know where he is actually. Yeah. Oh, hello. I need some kitchen roll. I forgot to get some.
Kitchen roll?
Yeah, and a coffee.
Yeah. That's what the bell's for.
Well, I can't believe you haven't even come in and suggested it. It's disgraceful. Okay, so peacock blue. Azure blue. That, I say, it's not one I use very often. It's really purple. Navy. You see what I mean about that line? That's what you need to be careful with the darker pigments. Thank you. Okay, and marine. That one seems to shift a little bit. There we go, look at that. It's a really nice colour actually, that marine. So the next one is the tints. Starry Sky. That blends out really nicely. Blue Topaz, which is my favourite. Wonder why. Can you hear me okay? Don't know how distant I sound. The microphone's over a little bit. So the pencils, aqua pencils, pretty self-explanatory really. They blend out very nicely. I'll zoom you in a little bit. Midnight blue. And then the ocean. Oh, yeah. He went and got the pretty stuff, bless him. So there's our palette. So I need to choose out of this palette. Azure blue I think is out because I think that's actually too purple. So that can go back. The pale blue, I'm leaning towards the teal colours as I always do because it's my favourite. So I think, not pale blue, peacock blue. I think the peacock blue isn't going to make the cut. Peacock blue. Peacock blue. The marine I quite like, but it doesn't sit with the tones. The navy I'm going to keep out because actually I think, oh, no, could you stars? No, I'm going to keep the navy out. Come on, what have I done with it? Marine. Okay, so marine we can get rid of. All these colours pretty well match. Aegean blue is probably the best one, but I would say looking at what we have that we may not even need the pencils. I really like these two together. I do think they work really, really well. So I think I'm going to keep it as blue topaz, starry sky, kingfisher, which is my favourite. It's the stronger of the two between the kingfisher and the aquamarine, but I'll keep them both. I do quite like the lake blue, so I think that's going to be our colour palette. So aquamarine, the kingfisher, the lake, these two, and then I thought I had more bluer options than that. I mean, they do go. Timber. Loads of stuff on the floor. I'm just going to check my graphic marker. No, it's too blue. Surf blue. Surf blue. So that's a graphic marker. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh yeah. Right, we'll go with that. Okay. Now I'm clueless because I don't really know what colour I want to start with. I suppose as with everything, work light and then go dark. Oh, P.S. If you fancy it, I might bring in a little pinata. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that pearl? There. I'm quite tempted to bring some of that in. I know it's not monochromatic, but that's my white version of the blue. But yeah, I'm quite tempted to bring that pearl in. What do you think? Love that he's at your beck and call at the tinkle of a bell. I do have him well trained actually. He is pretty well trained. I want to give him a wash, I think. A wash of the kingfisher. But I don't want to lose my lines underneath too much. First of all, I haven't even got my reference picture up, which is absolutely useless. So that's really not very good at all. So let me grab my reference quickly. Send it to myself on the phone. P.S. If you didn't know that, you can send yourself messages on Facebook. I do it all the time. It's how I send myself reference pictures. So I don't know if you know that, but it's top tip. Just look for yourself in Messenger. I send myself links and everything all the time. I talk to myself. I'm crazy. Okay, reference picture got. So if you didn't see the thumbnail, I'll show you the reference picture. Just me. Save. Okay, so the reference picture is this one. So that's what we're going to be doing. Bring all my screens back up. I just really liked the way he was looking. He looks very like in solitude. I don't know, there was something about it. I'm going to protect this a little bit, I think. And we'll deal with that at the end. I think his eye we're going to protect a little bit too. Can't really see his eye actually. There's not much in the way that I need to protect in highlight form. I just want to get a bit of the texture that they have. I'm just very roughly putting some texture lines in. So when I come to put my pen down, ideally I want to do most of it with the paint, to be honest, but love this pen. It's the best thing since sliced bread. Okay. I can pretty much fill my boots, to be honest, when it comes to the Kingfisher. Need a bigger brush. That'll do. Okay. And my point brush had something on it. I'm going to oversaturate the paper so it may curl. In fact, I need to... where's my tape? I need to tape it down, really. Just realised I forgot to do something. So that's torn it. I'm just putting it on my trousers to try and reduce. The trouble is, because it's watercolour paper, it's quite fibrous, so it doesn't come off as cleanly as it does with standard like Bristol Smooth. And I haven't gone all the way to the edge, so it's still going to curl, but it takes the worst of it. Right, I've just moved it. Let me know if that's any better. Okay, that just reduces some of the... God, you're at a right angle there, aren't you? Let's sort that out. Make sure you get the majority of it in. I think that's the best we're going to get at the minute. If you're new to watching me, this is generally what it looks like at the beginning. It looks like a mess and everyone goes, oh my god, what is she doing? What a load of tripe and onions. And then you get to near the end and it all sort of comes together really. I'm working dry, so what you would consider, I suppose, wet on dry. So the paper's dry, the brush is wet. The mic's pretty good at picking up, so it could be your pad. Check the volume of the YouTube video you're watching, because you might have turned it down on a previous one. Might not be able to see the bottom of his trunk very well. This one though is, nope, I'm zoomed right out. It's taken me today, the best part of, if I'm to include rendering time, it's taken me the best, well no it has, it's taken me the entire day to complete 2 editing videos, and these videos are only 15 minutes long. Oh, I lost count of how many times it ended up crashing on me. It was absolutely driving me crazy. Okay, so that was our Kingfisher. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the blue topaz. I'm going to use this to, almost like if you were drawing, to block in where I think, not where I think, where I can see the darker shadows need to be. But because it's of the same tone, if I make any mistakes now, it's not going to be a massive issue. I don't know why I'm being so fussy with the pen, because I'll do all that with the brush. We are pretty dark under here. So you can get some nice fine details with these, with the brush. And again, I'm not being particularly neat. I'm not going for photorealism. Quite dark section there. I'm just going for something that hopefully at the end of this looks like an elephant. Well, the microphone is literally about a foot away from me, so I'm going to use my big brush again, I think. All the time your paper's wet and you keep your ink wet, it still has time to travel, so don't panic too much if you're not liking it in the first second or two. Just give it a bit of time to do what it's going to do, and you'll find that actually it might blend out better than you think it will do. I've quite often done that in the past and panicked and think, oh my god, what's happened? But then you just leave it for a little bit and actually it works out. So These little raggedy details in his ears I'm probably going to do, if I stop fiddling now, with the markers. So all I'm doing is I'm brushing over those lines. I'm not trying to blend them or get them to move anywhere. Just literally brushing over them to let them do whatever they then want. That's the joy of these pens. You don't have to be super fiddly or detailed with them. I think you just need to have fun. Just using what's on my brush. We've got a patch of shadow up here. So what I can then do is, once that's dried off a little bit, I can then afford to come in and be a bit stronger and go in with one of the stronger colours. Any watercolour medium is exactly the same. You just have to consistently build your layers up. I've masked the eye off, so we won't be doing a huge amount with that until a bit later. He's looking very pale in that light. Again, my brush is actually barely wet, but it's enough to saturate it a little bit and just get it to move around, get it to shift. By the way, if you aren't aware, there's a big sale happening in my group right now. It will be up on my page in the next day or two, but my group members get priority on the stock that's available. Bonnita Doodles Art Share, if you're not already in there. Okay, so you can see the form of the back of his ear already there. I think I want to be quite loose with this, to be honest. I don't think I want it to have too much detail. So I think we're going to just really use the pens to our advantage. I think the pinata, I don't even know how I'm going to do the pinata yet, actually. I'm undecided. Do you know what he reminds me? He's not far off what my old one looked like that I did when I was probably 12. Too many adverts that stop YouTube. Not on mine, my lovely. I'm one of the unlucky ones that can't get monetized right now because I don't have enough of what they want. Okay. Stop fiddling, do that with a pen. Let's just get that shadow in. You can work a little bit more on wet with the aqua tints, whereas the fibres from the nibs of the aqua pens, let me turn the autofocus off, you'll tend to soak the ink out of the end, so you end up with nothing on your tip, so just be careful. I mean, that is pretty, apart from under here, that's pretty much it for the strongest shadows. love the way it does that feather out on the edge. If you're having that much trouble, Wendy, also try changing the resolution. It may be that, I don't know, the pad can't handle the high resolution. I don't know. But that's another thing to look at. Change the playback resolution. It might just be buffering. I don't want to do too much more with this colour because it is so much more bluer than the other. The other one's obviously more teal. What I might do now is bring in the lake blue. You have got a fine, I don't know why I'm doing that because I turned the autofocus off. Let's try that again. You have got a fine end on the end of your pens. So once it's dry, don't try and do it when it's wet because it will eat the paper and then it will just crumple up on the end of your nib. So you can use this end of the nib if you want to get fine detail if you don't have any of the other tools. So where it's a bit dry around his eye, for example, if I want to go in and just draw some details in there, I can. But of course, if I want to make it more permanent, then that's when I would actually look at bringing the alcohol markers in, which I probably will anyway. So I want him to have a bit of permanence about him. So we actually need to get some shading in here, and I think I'm going to use the lake for that. I'm hoping it's dry enough. We just want to give him some shape so you can see where the tusk sits underneath, and then we've got a bit of shading that comes in. Goes up and around there a little bit. I'm just picking it up off this bit of lino that I've got here, just so I'm not working direct on the paper now. Getting all really fidgety, aren't I? And going in. They're incredible animals, aren't they? I know it's one of Wendy's as well. Got a lot of elephant fans in here. Just going to soften that. I'm really tempted to take the eye out now and try and work on that eye just to give him a little bit of character. Just softening where I've put those. In fact, we need a little bit of top of his head here. Give him some shape. where that's bled out a bit, it's left me with it looking like it's further over than it is. So I'm going to grab my tissue, grab a wet brush, and I'm literally just going to wet that area and pad the colour out. Now I'm just going to let it dry for a little bit, and then I can go in and make that a bit stronger. Let's remove the eye. Let's use an eraser. What I'll do is, before I strip off all the other masking fluid, I'll get the hairdryer. It's all plugged in, ready, and I'll unplug the microphone so you don't get your ears blown off. Okay, so I'm going in with the navy. I'm only going to put a little bit in the middle, and then we're going to get my finer round brush because it's got a nice pointy tip. Use the back of my hand just to take some excess off, because we don't want it flowing everywhere. Light's reflecting right on the water. I'm quite tempted actually to bring in some... No, don't. It's monochromatic, woman. Stop it. I nearly decided to bring in another colour then, and that would not have been correct. I'm just drying that off a bit. So his mouth, it's more like that. It's doing that gorgeous feathering where it's wet. Such ridiculously rich pigment. I'm going to leave that feathering because I think it looks really lovely. What I am going to do though is use whatever is left on my brush just to add some shade and definition. I think it comes up much further than that actually. I think we're looking about it here. Needs rounding off a bit. Right, we want to soften that up. So instead of me trying to be overly, I don't know what the word is I'm trying to think of, I'm literally just going to saturate the paper, bring my brush down, blend it down. It's pretty stop-starty shadow happening there, so I'm not going to be bothered too much, to be honest. That's fairly dry now. So the top of his ear, I'll grab that quick. There's still a bit of moisture in the paper, so it's bleeding out already, which is nice. grab a bit up. See, look, I've only just gone back to my paint to pick up that pigment. It's so rich in pigment, honestly. It's some of the richest pigment I've worked with. Shadowy, that seems to be my technical term for the night. Shadowy. Just trying to add a bit more depth. And shape here. I don't want it to, there we go, I don't want it to look so flat, but this bit needs to be a little bit more, I mean, I know it is a flap, but it's like a really obvious, that's better, really obvious flap, and I don't want it to be. I'm just going to tone that down, that's better. And a little bit of strength on the front here. You still see it's quite workable, even though it's had a bit of time to dry. Again, I'm just going to use what's on my brush just to create some of the lines. I need to work on his eye. It's completely bled out here, which is a bit annoying. I wasn't going to do this, but it's got to be done. It's not Bonnita if it's not done, is it? Water soak on that for a bit. Adds a bit of texture to his rough skin as well. In fact, let's just get some water. That water alone is doing a really nice job. I'm going to zoom you in. You can see it already. That right there, that's what I love about watercolour. You can just do that and it just creates its own texture. I love it. Hi, Katie. Yeah, love, love, love. Let's just get some colour in there. Bit too pale. So when we trying to get him all in and I can't. Okay, he still needs a bit of that's it. We don't really have a lot going down in this area as well. Pull a bit down there to give that a bit of shape. think I need to do anything on his trunk. He probably needs a bit of definition when I come to do the markers, and I'm wondering now whether actually they're dark enough. Ah, there you go, dark blue in the Classique. I think old China, the old China, I think that is too on the grey side. It's more on the green side actually. It is a Nelly Flump for my Inktober Mindless. The mindless blooming killing that goes on with them. Could use my biro as well. I should have just done this a blue supply video. He's got, do you know what? I really like the simplicity of him as he is right now. Let's get some of that water up now. That's had time to get rid of that. I really like it. Don't tell me we're actually going to be done in like no time at all. Right, I'm going to unplug the microphone, hairdryer, and then take off the masking fluid that we've had on. So let me unplug said microphone. I have a horrible feeling that the paper's actually still too saturated. I tried to do a bit underneath, which you probably saw. I might as well take them off now, save them for another use. So I'm a little bit concerned, if I'm honest, about taking such fine amount. Oh no, it might be alright. Okay, some of it's okay. P.S. Let me know if you can hear me. I drew him in pencil as you did this. Doodling with Doodles. Yay, that's what we like. Joining in. That's what it's all about. I need to define his head a bit up here. Okay, this is the bit that's still a bit too saturated for my liking. I'm sure I put more lines on here than that, but maybe I did not. I'm just going to do a really pale blue, I think, for his tusk. Bring my reference back up. That's lifted him a bit, hasn't it, I think? I know there's a... See, that is why I love this pen, because even with the fine liner masking fluid, with the really fine tip on the top, it doesn't give me the clean lines that this does. It just works so well. Honestly, if you don't have one and you do watercolour or you want to mask anything off, it's the best thing, I'd say, since sliced bread, but sliced bread ain't good for you, so I need to think of an alternative. Right, let's do his tusk. I'm going to do it with my topaz. I'm just going to put a little bit on the top and then work my way down with it. Let that dry. I am a little bit worried about using markers on his head. I'm going to try in an area where it's not going to matter. What have I got in the Illustrator wise? I'm just seeing what I've got in my Illustrator. I don't know, I'm just not feeling any of it. He's a lot bluer than I actually had any intentions. Let's just... might get away with... just looking down the camera as I'm doing it. And actually, I don't think it'll be a problem. It's almost subtle enough. Okay, so I'm going to leave that one out. That's navy blue. Pen. Navy blue is BT7, by the way, if anybody wants to know. There's nothing navy about it, though. Navy blue BT7, and that's an Illustrator marker. Because I don't have enough supplies already that I have to have 50,000 of them. There is a link in the description below if you want a direct link into getting one. I got mine from Amazon, and the link that I put below is basically an affiliate link, but it takes you to a shop front where I have put in lists everything that I use and everything that I recommend. So you can buy direct from that list, and it's exactly the same one as I purchased from the same buyer as well, I believe. So yeah, I always pop that in just because it's good to have a quick and easy accessible list to grab things from. I'm not going to do all the lines. I'm just going to do suggestive lines because we'll be here forever, seeing as the amount that elephants have. Try and do some sort of crossing over lines as well, so it's not all smooth. You can barely see it actually, but it's enough from here to me to make a difference. You can probably see it on this light patch here. In fact, I'm going to use it on his tusk. I know a lot of people prefer a brush nib, but I just want to explain to you why I just did the whole of that and you didn't see any of it, did you? I just want to explain why you shouldn't disregard the chisel nib. So when you've got your Illustrator marker, you can, of course, let's zoom you back in. You can, of course, get some very, very fine flicks and details and very thin lines and things with your pen. And it's, you know, they're brilliant nibs. You can go from thick to thick and there's just so many things that you can do with them. They're brilliant. Now, the reason I like a chisel nib, because, of course, you can fill your space quite easily with the marker. I'm using textured paper, which is not advised with markers, which is why you're seeing that. The chisel nib is just as good for filling large spaces. In fact, I prefer it. And you can even, I don't know why I'm moving it, you can even get really fine. I mean, look how fine that line is. Come on, camera. Look how fine that line is. And people worry that you can't get detail with a chisel nib, but all you've got to do is turn your chisel nib upside down. So this bit here is facing your paper. Just have, I don't know, what's that, a 90-degree angle? And then just use the back of your chisel nib. And it does an amazing job. So don't discount the chisel nib. Hi Emily, I'm feeling you there. I'm glad you came to have a bit of a chill sesh. Let's take that off as well. Please don't tear. Well done. Still zoomed right in, aren't I? Yes. Okay, so this colour's no good for, oh actually it is working quite nicely on his trunk. Again, you're probably going to find it difficult to see that detail. Just going to give a bit more definition to the top of the head here, as we've lost a bit of his shape. So dark denim, wasn't it? Dark blue even, not dark denim. I'm just going to accentuate the shadows that should be in here that we've lost a little bit. So what I may do is actually bring the watercolour back in as well. And then we want to do the tears or rips, or I don't know what you call them. Do they have a name? The little raggedy bits on the back of his ear. Oh, that's made it. Hasn't it made it? God. Mwah. Oh, pleased with that. Superb. Okay, so I'm going to strengthen the shadow up here with some darker watercolour in a minute. So under here still needs strengthening. I'm going to get the eye in now with this, because this seems to really work for those details. Thank you. Going in with the Starry Sky purely because I want to wash it out slightly. I just want to make sure I've got some extra little details on here. Do you know, I had no intention at all, did I, of going this navy blue, but hey ho, we went there anyway. I'm going to switch to the teal. I want to say teal, it's not, blue topaz, because I don't want it as dark in the lighter areas. So I'm just going to bring the blue topaz in. In fact, I could probably marker that bit. Getting some alcohol marker in there as well, so when I do go over with the water, it doesn't lose it. Once we'll take that off now, the good portion of wet stuff has been done. I'm going to bring more of the colour down onto his trunk as well now. I'm not ignoring any comments, sorry, I'm just in the zone. Yes, loving the eye. Okay, let's mush some of that colour around that we've put on that's water activated. Hi Georgina, thank you. Okay, so the little bit that is water activated, we're just going to blend that out a bit. Whatever stays on my brush is not a problem. So up here was water activated. Give him a bit of shading around his eye. Up here as well. I think I need to bring the Starry Sky in this section. In fact, I might even have to bring the aqua pen in for that. Yeah, it's not dark enough. So let's just blend and soften these bits a bit. You don't want to lose detail, but you just want to soften it slightly so it's just not so harsh. I think that's come up too far here. I'm just going to leave some water to soak there and try and nab some of it out. In the meantime, I want Lake Blue. Is it Lake Blue? Oh my god, I've forgotten. No, it's not. Okay. Water over there. Non-water over there. Okay, I'm going to do this on my bit of lino. just blend this where I've gone in with the marker. It's just blending that out a little bit. But I love the way his ear has turned out. Okay, let's try and lift a portion of that. That's a bit better. I'm going to use some what's left on my brush. I'm going to look at some point getting some watercolor wax, and it's a way of sealing your and protecting your watercolor pictures, which is pretty cool. Oh, I can't feel my feet. It's so cold in the den and I can't have my heater on. It's been freezing all day. It's been nice outside, but it's been freezing. That's all right. It's not a problem at all. I'm using the Spectrum Noir watercolor paper. It's 300 GSM. It's really, really good stuff. I've lost my reference again. It looks like that. So you get 20 sheets, about £6.99 I think, and it's 309 by 12. It's really, really nice paper, and it's white. It's not any sort of creamy colour, which again I really like. He's got loads going up. He hasn't got many going across, so I'm just going to cross hatch some. Just give him a bit more texture, I suppose. Near enough all the products I'm using are Spectrum Noir products. They're all the aqua range that they have, apart from the odd marker, the alcohol marker, which I've brought in. So this trunk, I need to sort this trunk out, don't I? It feels a bit colourless. I think it just needs a little bit more shading here and there. It feels really massive, but I think where it cuts off, where the picture cuts off, in fact, screw it, let's do it. Let's do it. It's not going to do it. It's not wet enough. Come on, you can do it. Yeah, where I think it cuts off quite quick. It doesn't look like it has much in the way of shape. If I make it a bit larger up the top here, she says, giving him a ginormous trunk. Oh, it's so really noisy. Honestly, my feet are terrible. Even when I've got slippers on, socks on, I have a mermaid blanket, and my feet are always, always freezing. I'd like to say it's because all the heat has gone into my heart, you see. But it's not. It's because they all go into my hands. I have really hot hands, really cold feet. Which makes working with polymer clay really, really hard. Right, we need to darken this bit of his tusk. There we go. Now we're rocking. Look at that. Okay, we need a little bit under there where we used the marker to strengthen that shadow. It's got very much of a line there, and you know I don't like my lines. You know when like your radiators haven't been on for 6 months, and then you turn them on, and then all you can smell is dust from the last 6 months. Yeah, it's a bit like that. It's only a little fan heater, so it's pretty noisy. Oh yeah, I get cold nose. Not very often, but my feet are always cold. So I think he fits in with the Inktober theme very, very well. I'm pretty pleased with that, to be honest. Just going to lessen down some of those highlights in there. I really need it to dry, as I could do with doing a couple of marker lines in a moment. I don't really want to get the hairdryer out again. I think his eye is pretty much done though. I don't think we need to do anything more to that, and the top of the head. In fact, I don't think he needs much more at all, actually. That's going to help a huge amount. But reference, will you stop disappearing on me? Okay. So let's just get a few lines underneath. I'm going to say it, and you're all going to laugh at me. I know you are, especially you, Erica. I'm scared to go too dark. Damn it. Use the thin end. Use the thin end. Look at that. Yeah, let's use the thin end. Let's not be scared. Let's get a big girl pants on. Just do it. Yeah, you had it. On alive. I said it. On alive. If you're new to me, this is a very long-standing joke with me and my Patreons. I am always telling them off for not going darker. And then I'm sitting here not going darker myself. I wanted it to be with this really loose, free, non-detailed elephant, and I've completely gone the opposite direction because apparently it's impossible for me to do. I need to stop fiddling with that trunk. I can hear them all laughing. I can hear them laughing down my camera at me. See, told you. Look at the comments. I walked into that one, didn't I? I totally walked into that. Like I say in an up-and-coming fur tutorial, it makes me human. You're not the only... Do you know what? It's easy to tell someone else what to do. It's not easy to follow your own instructions. So there you have it. You heard it here first. Stop fiddling with his trunk, Bonnita. God, someone stop me. I'm going to do a little washout here just to, because it really stops there and it's a bit too harsh. It's like Bonnita bingo, isn't it? Dear, that's better. That just that little bit gives him a bit more shape. I think we need to do it down here, and we got a little bit up here. So get some of the excess water off. I don't want to saturate it too much. Question. I know there's not many watching, but if I was to offer pin badges with my watercolour images on and my logo, would it be something you'd be interested in? I'm thinking of possibly in the future getting some enamel pins with my logo. What sounded rude? I didn't pay any attention. Half of what I say sounds rude, to be honest. What am I trying to do? I don't know what I'm trying to do. I'm losing the plot now. What was the darkest pencil that we had? There wasn't really one. Why is my Starry Sky glittery? That's not amusing. They're not sparkles. It's glittery. The silver. What are we doing with this silver? I haven't worked out what I'm doing with the silver yet. Some splats for starters. This is alcohol based, by the way, not water. So, oh, messing about with this trunk. It's not rude. It's your mind that's rude, young lady. See, even Joe knows what you're going to say. I might use it as a little glint in his eye. Oh, the mic has settled so much down the... There we go. It's not about usage, my lovely. It's about collecting. Nothing's useful. The ball bearing's not quite... There we go. Okay, what I'm probably going to do is put some on my mat here. Because it's alcohol based, I can get rubbing alcohol then and wash it off. So I'm just going to put it in a clean area would help. Clean brush. Use my clean water jar for this. I need a dryish brush. And to begin with, I don't even know. Oh, it does work. Can I just say it's having a glitter party right here? I wonder if you can see it in the camera. Can you see that? Look at that. It's having a glitter party. No, not as well. But it is. It's awesome. You got your balls splashing about? I have indeed. I'll tell you what, Erica, me and you would be dangerous if we ever got in a pub. Or even together, I think. The splats work really, really well. Oh, it's starting to set. It's starting to set. Get off my brush. Get off my brush. Ah, I need me. No, I need my rubbing alcohol. I don't think I've got any to hand. I need to work really quickly. Best way. Let's just go with it again. I don't know whether you're going to see it. You probably are not. There. Can you see it here? This is where you need to look, in this area. And in his eye, actually. Can you see that glimmer? There we go. So it just gives him something extra. I want to put a bit on his trunk, so we need to work pretty quickly, and then I'm going to have to get my rubbing alcohol on it. It's quite nice because you get quite fine splashes, splots, blobs, whatever you want to call it. Just going to put a little bit on his ear. It's one of those that you're just not going to notice unless you have him at home. Oh, it's not going to work. I have to leave it like that. That needs rubbing alcohol, so I'm going to put that there to one side. Note there, I'll more likely remember it then. Here's me sitting, being good, trying not to comment, as I know you will do it for me. Will you stop talking about cake, woman? I think we're done. I'm quite happy with him. Let me turn one of the lights down because he seems to be quite washed out. Oh yes, that on his, there. Can you see that? Yes, quite happy with that. I don't think he needs anything else done, to be honest. I think if I do, in fact, probably under here is the only thing that needs doing. Wrong end. It's just still a bit too light underneath. Just here. That's better. Try and blend that in, but I don't think it's going to happen. I'm really pleased with that ear. Right, I'm going to see how far I can. I want you to get the whole picture, not just the itty bitty teeny beeny bit. Right, am I zoomed all the way out? I'm zoomed all the way out. Still can't get him all in. He's practically in. By the way, it's coffee. Guilty. I don't drink milk, so I don't have tea. So I generally only have herbal teas. But being a mother of 2 young kiddos, one of them has her own little extra needs. Yeah, I need all the energy I can get. So yeah, it's coffee all round pretty much. Coffee is life. A Thor. Oh yeah. Would you like my way I brought it into the Inktober? I thought that worked quite well actually. Right, let me catch up on the comments quickly. It's not supposed to be nice, it's a punishment. It does fit with the snow and ice, the glitter. Yeah, it looks really, really nice. Oh God, now I'm worried. No, I'm worried now. You won't get old. Nobody wants to get old. Nobody wants that. So I think we pretty much used... We didn't use the aquamarine, so we can put it... Everything's sparkly. I must have sparkle on my brush. Everything's all sparkly. God, can you imagine if I used my sparkle inks? God. I didn't really use any of those. I used the dark blue, didn't I? So they were sort of a big no-no in the end. They were... I used the surf blue, which was that one. I didn't use the azure, didn't use the navy. Didn't use those. And I didn't use any of those. So we haven't done too bad, actually. Not a bad little collection of items. Anyway, I'm going to deal with this desk tomorrow because I can't really be bothered to do it tonight. I'm going to go put my feet up now after a day of fighting with my computer over getting the editing done. This Friday sees the release of the second Fur Fridays. I have recorded about 10 now, I think, or 9. There's some really cool ones coming up. There's a dolphin coming up. There's a hawk eagle coming up. There's something else coming up, but I can't remember what it is. So if you are new to me and you are interested in learning about all sorts of different arty-farty things, including how to draw animal fur and skin and scales, then hit the subscribe button. Please give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this and you like him. If you've got any questions and you're not watching this live, please ask them below and I will get back to you. And yeah, have a good morning, evening, afternoon, whichever it may be while you're watching this, guys. And thank you very much. And I shall see you on the other side. Bye.